So, hello everyone. Today we will be talking about authentication and security and how we can actually encrypt our password before adding it to the database so that we can keep it secure. In the previous session, we already saw that how we can conditionally render the page, and this project will not be the same. We already have some starter files available in here where you have the view pages available as well as the CSS. Okay, so let's get started. So the first step will be to go to your terminal and initialize the npm in it and checking all the options as yes. Then go to your package.json and in your package.json, change the type to module so that we can use ES6 import and export. Then next thing will be to create a .env file, but I think we can keep the .env file for later. Let's now go to app.js and there let me import Express from the package Express. Let's create a constant called app using Express. Then let's create a port number as well. So port number that we'll be using will be 3000. And I'll use the app.listen function and they'll provide the port number and a callback function so that when the local server runs successfully, we can output server started on port and the port number. Then let's put the middlewares at the correct place. So the middleware that we will be using is express.static to load all our static files such as CSS and images. So the folder will be the public folder where all the static files are added. And then app.use, and to get the data from the form, we will be using express.url encoded by keeping the extended option to true. Okay. Next, we will also set the view engine to EJS as we are using EJS to render the pages and to send the data to the EJS pages as well. So app dot set, and we are setting the view engine setting to EJS. Okay, I think we're good now. The next thing we can do is to set up the routes. See, first of all, we will be handling the root route. Okay, the root route. Okay, all right. So because we are only be handling a get request, I'll simply use the get function, write down the name of the route, which is the root route, and then we'll provide a handler for the same. I'll put the request and response parameters there. And as a response, I want to render the page called home. Okay. So let's start the local server and check that if it runs or not. So node app.js. And I think we're missing something. Yeah, we don't have the node modules folder as of now. So for that, I think we already have a package.json file, right? And we have to, yeah, we actually forgot that part, right? So let's start by initializing npm, checking all the options to yes, right? And yeah, I think we already did that, but we forgot to add the packages that we need, which is Express, EJS, and that's it. Okay, these are the two packages we need. And now we have our node module, so we can actually start running it. Node app.js, and my server is successfully running on port number 3000. Let's refresh it, and we're able to see the secrets page. If there is some CSS mistake, let me just correct it. Home and we are using Jumbotron there. Okay, that's fine. Hmm, cool. Sure. Okay, we also need to make some changes in the CSS as well. We have to put the minimum height to 100 VH. Okay, now that's fine. We can just change the background of this jumbotron as well. Okay. So in my CSS, I'm going to make a small change as well. I'm going to take the dot jumbotron and I'm going to give it a background of transparent. Okay, so this is our secrets page. Now we have two buttons here. Okay, these are basically A tags which are pointing to the register and the login pages. So if I go to register, it will take me to the register route, as you can see in the bottom, right? So here is our register route, and it clearly says that cannot get slash register. So we have to handle the get request for the same as well. Now, because we will be handling a get request and a post request for the same route, so I will be using the app.route function this time, providing the route name, which is register. And then after that, the dot get function to handle the get request on same, and request and response. Okay. So I want to render the register page on this route. So if I refresh it now, but we have to restart a server as well. That is why I will recommend you to use nodemon for this. So nodemon app.js. I hope everyone already does have this nodemon installed. So this nodemon will actually help us to restart the server automatically whenever a change is made in the server file, right? So if I go and refresh there, see, this is our registration form. Okay. And if we fill the data with some information, test@email.com, password will be like test123 and register. Now it says that you're not handling the post request for the register. So as we are handling get request in the similar manner, I will be handling a dot post as well. Okay, using the dot post function. So request as well as response. Now the first thing I'm interested in is getting the data, right? So the data is actually available in request.body. So I can console.log request.body. And then if I resubmit the form, then yeah, see, here we have the username and the password available. So we are getting the data here. Now the next steps will be to add the database to our website as well. So I'm gonna open another terminal and I'm gonna install the package called Mongoose, which will help us interact with MongoDB database. So after installing Mongoose, yeah, we're done installing it. See, I want to keep few things separate. Okay, I don't want to put everything within my app.js only. That is why I'm creating another folder here called config, where I will be creating a file db.js will which keep basically it will keep a function right inside of it which will help us connect to the database. So I'm gonna create a function called connect db, and this is a function declaration with a sync keyword before it so that we can use await inside of it, right? So first of all, I'm going to create the try and catch to handle the errors, right? So if there is any error, console.log the error for now, and then exit the process with an error, code one. Okay. Now within the try, I want to use the await keyword because the next function I'm going to be putting here, which is mongoose.connect, it's an asynchronous task, right? It will take some time to send the request. Okay. Now here I have to put the MongoDB URI, right? So as I was telling earlier to install the .env, okay, now it's the correct time to install it. So npm I .env, and let's install .env, which is an environment variable. So here I'll create the .env file where I will keep some private data, So port I'll also keep here. Then the Mongo underscore URI I'll keep here. Okay. And I'll simply connect it to my local MongoDB server. Okay. So local host 27017, and the database I'll call auth underscore security auth underscore security underscore secrets underscore app underscore db. I know that's a very long name, right? But yeah, this is what I'm going to call it: auth security secrets app. Okay. Now, next thing I'll do is I'll simply save it. I'll go to my db.js, and here, instead of putting the string by myself, I'm going to be using process.env dot mongo underscore URI. Okay. And the result that I'll get back about the connection, I'm also going to console.log a message for that. So DB connected, I want to show the host name as well. Okay. So connection dot host will give me the host name. Okay. And then I will simply export this function. So export connect DB, export default connect DB. Okay. Also, don't think that the process.env will run on its own. No, we have to set it up. So in our app.js, I will import the config function from .env, and I'll run it. So config done. Now the port number, will get the port number from process.env.port, and in case it is not available, then run it on 3000. Okay. So port.env, process.env.port or 3000. Now, one more thing I want to import, which is the connect db function from db.js file, which will help us to connect to the database. So connect db and done. Now, next what we're gonna do is we're gonna create the model. Okay, the schema and the model for our user. So models, and within this, I want to create a new file called user.js, and inside of it, first of all, import the mongoose package, and then create a schema, a user schema, and mongoose.schema, and this will only have two fields, which is the username field as well as the password field. Okay. Now both of these will have, like, some common properties, like the type of both will be string, both are required. Okay. And I'll set a minimum length for both, minimum length 8, and I'll also set a unique property. Okay. Unique property just for the email. Hmm. Password can actually be, same for two or more people, right? So this is my user schema. The next thing I'll do is I'll create a model, the user model, mongoose.model, and there I need to provide the name of the model and the schema using which the items are created, which is the user schema. And then I'll export user. Okay. And then after doing this, I can just come back to my app.js, and inside of register, inside of the post route, I will simply extract these two things from the body into separate variables, which is the user name and the password, right? Now, guys, we are not gonna save the password as it is, like in normal text format, into our database, because I don't want anyone who has access to the database to check our password, right? That is why I want to keep it encrypted, right? And that is why I'm going to be using a package here called bcryptjs, npmi bcryptjs. You can read more about bcryptjs in its official documentation on npm. So if you go to npm, and there, if you search for bcryptjs, so this is a bcryptjs. Okay, this one is like an optimized version of bcryptjs. Okay. Hmm? Now, as you can see, the weekly downloads are, too much, right? more than to make you feel reliable, right? That this is a reliable source. Okay, so after using this, like installing it, you can import it. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my app.js. At the very start, I will import bcrypt from bcryptjs. Now, when you will save the password, okay, before this, you'll have to make it asynchronous, okay, because the bcryptjs, okay, when it like hashes the password, it takes some time, right? So it is also an asynchronous task. Also, when you will save the user, that is also synchronous, right? So in case something bad happens, I just want to console.log the error. And in the try, the very first thing I'll do is I'll take out the username and the password out of the body. Then I want to like generate a hash, right? So what you can do is you can generate the hash like this. So hash is equals to bcrypt dot hash function. And see, the first thing you need to provide is the password which you want to hash. So our password and the salt round. So I'm going to be using only 10 salt rounds, right? Okay, then you'll have your hash, right? But because this takes time, you have to put the await keyword here to get the hash back. Once you have the hash, you can actually create your user. So user is equals to new user, and we need to fill in the values into the schema. So first field is username, and the value for username will be the same username, right? So you can write it like this, or you can just keep it like this only. Then value for the password will not be the password, it will be the hash. Okay. Once you have created the user, use await user dot save to save the user, and then again res dot render the secret space. See, we are still conditionally rendering the secrets page, right? But in real life, you don't just conditionally render thing. Instead, you protect the routes. But because this is our level 2 of the security, we are still using conditional rendering, but this time with encrypted passwords. Okay. So once the user is done saving the database with the encrypted password, then we're going to be rendering the secret space. But before that, I also will console.log the newly created user. Okay. So let's try this. Let's try submitting the registration form. Okay. This time test at the rate 1234. Click on register and we done or are we having some issues here? User is not defined. It says maybe we forgot to import the user from the model file. Yeah. Import user from models slash user dot js. And now let's start by resubmitting the form. Yeah, see, this is our secret page. Okay, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. All right. Okay, so our registration is working fine. Now you can see the password, which is heavily encrypted, right? And there is no way that it's going to be a part of any, hash table or something. So it's very hard to decode it. But still, I will recommend on you to actually use a combination of alphabets, numbers, special symbol, uppercase letter, lowercase letters, right? So that even if you are using some basic encryption like MD5, still it will be uh, you can say very difficult to hack, right? But even if you put a very simple password, bcryptjs will make it more complicated to crack. Okay. All right. Now the next thing is the login. So for login as well, I can just copy this, right? The same thing, but nah, I'm gonna create it from scratch. So app.route, route name is slash login, and I want to handle the get request for the same, where we have the request and the response parameters. And as a response, I want to render the login page when someone visits the slash login route. Okay. So let's go back and let's go to the login. So this is our login page, right? And we are receiving the data again from the form. Okay. So when you'll submit the login form, the data will be sent to the /login route. And to handle it, I will create the dot post function where again you'll put your request and response, and